What's up, guys? This is Ray J back with another video. And in this, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla's SPY in the overall markets. I'm going to talk about some key levels to watch for in Tesla, what's going on so far. As the market's seen a bit of a pullback this morning, but we'll have to see if this ends up lasting with quadruple witching. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total, and the offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, as far as the market's going, we are going to gap down when we open, right? So I do expect that to happen. But the question remains: will the market sustain these lower levels, or will the market get a big bounce? This will depend on some factors. Now, Tesla's very flat right now. Like I said before, it's stuck within this wedge, getting tighter and tighter and tighter. I do expect that to continue as time goes on, just for the time being. Now, for now, I do want to talk about some important things. Elon Musk mentioned that, we're in a very, very new trend for Tesla. There's a bit of stormy weather amongst a much larger and brighter future. That's what Elon Musk was talking about I think he was on a podcast today, or at least some kind of show. Elon Musk mentioned that if you read the news, it feels like Armageddon, but he once again said that he understands that there's a lot of people that don't want to buy their product, but you don't have to burn it down, right? That's a bit unreasonable. So that's what Elon Musk essentially said. And then he went on about how what he's saying about the stock is you just have to hang on. That's what he said. Just hang on through these hard times, because he is once again promising that things will get a lot better. And he's still very, very bullish when it comes to the developments on FSD and etc. Now, on top of this, with all the vandalism that's going on, Musk announced that Tesla is ramping up security and activated Sentry mode on all its vehicles at stores. That way, they have like cameras ready to just watch and see if anyone tries to commit these crimes. So keep that in mind. There's been a lot of threats, at least at a lot of Tesla's dealerships and a lot of their showrooms. So, with this violence and all this political scrutiny that's going on, I just want to say that violence is never the answer, and Tesla has the right to once again take action to just turn on more cameras, get more security features on. So just keep that in mind. Now, to add on to this, at least for the broader markets, today is March 21st. We have a little bit under 2 million of these calls expiring, and we have almost about 4 million of these puts expiring, right? There's a 2.05 put to call ratio with max pain at 580. The market is going to gap down when we open, but the question is, will we bounce to fill our gap, or will the market continue to dump? We'll be talking about some key levels to watch for. There's not really much data coming out, so keep that in mind. And then, as far as President Trump is going, he wants to dismantle the Department of Education. But the thing about that is that he wants to put a different grip on the public school system, and he also wants to kind of shift funding in different ways. So, for now, we shouldn't just look at this with one view and just say, "Oh, he does wants to defund all education." It's not really the truth. He wants to be very, very strict with the funding, and to use it in a lot of different ways. And then on top of this, he mentioned that he wants to have a tighter grip on the way in which they're using funds and how they're doing things. But if anything, for those who support the Department of Education, I know people have different views of that. This would not be the best of news for you. If you think this is the right move, then it's okay. This could be a good move if they do come up with a better alternative. If not, it could also be a bad move. So I'm not here to tell you, if it's right or wrong. I'm just here to tell you that this is what's going on, and the market may not. It might somewhat be reacting to this, maybe not for the most part, but just know that this is what's going on, making a lot of headlines right now. This is the latest update. Donald Trump also mentioned that he's going to be getting ready for April 2nd. It's going to be another Liberation Day. So he's talking about that again, about his new tariffs that are going to be coming out. So we'll see what we get. The EU has announced that they want to basically delay their tariffs for now, at least the retaliatory ones. Besides that, I'm not seeing much on the news that's anything new. So it's basically the same stuff. So from this point on, let's just focus on what's happening with the charts. So politics aside, all of that, I just want to say that as far as Tesla goes, if we end up dipping, we're going to be looking at this 230 area. If that fails us, we're going to be at risk of retesting this wedge. And if that fails, we could be dipping to like 222 and eventually 215. If we're bullish, you want to see us get a break above this resistance around 242. If that breaks, we're looking for a big bounce to fill this imbalance towards 248. So we're stuck in the middle, kind of going back and forth between these levels, and we're getting tighter right now. So we'll see, do we break 242 to be bullish, or do we end up losing 230 to start dumping? We're kind of in the middle. So I expect Tesla to just trade sideways. I do think we're going to gap down in the morning. We might be retesting 233 or so for a small dip. And we'll see if we get a bounce later on during the day, because don't forget, we do have a lot of option expirations. And if we do start off with a little pullback, as long as we don't lose 230, we should see a bounce back up towards 237 plus, as long as 230 holds us. So look for a dip close to the low 230s, and we'll see if we bounce. For now, I'm looking for a move like this. Now, for SPY, we're actually looking bearish right now. We got a big rejection so far, so it's not looking too good. But I want to see if this low holds. We have to try to hold this low around 559. If we could hold right here when we open, because remember yesterday we saw this thing basically dip all the way down to like 562 and then it bounced. Okay, so this morning we're at 559. Will we hold this low? If we could hold this, there is hope that we try to come back up to fill our gap and we start pushing back up to 566 plus, and we see some kind of squeeze move. If we don't hold this, if we end up losing 559, we're going to be at risk of dipping to like 555 to 556. So we got to hold right over here. Otherwise, we're going to be dipping lower. We're technically looking a little bit weaker here because we're losing this trend line, so it's not a good sign. So there's going to be a risk of us dipping a little bit lower towards like 555 to 556. We need to bounce. We have to bounce very close to where we are to get back up at 565 for us to have any hope for bulls. So bounce near where we are, if not by 555 in that range. We got to bounce here. If we lose 555, we're going to turn very bearish. It's going to be a very, very bad sign, and this is just going to make new lows. So it's going to be really bad. So lose 555 or bearish, it's going to be a bad sign. If we balance between 555 and 559, so it's just about a 3-point range. If we form a bottom and bounce, then we need to get back up at 565. If we reclaim that, then yes, this could turn back up. So it's got a long way to go. So we'll see if we get a bounce or not. I do want to mention we're gapping down. We do have a lot of option expirations, so we'll see how that ends up affecting us. For the QQQ, it's looking relatively weak here. We're trying to hold 474. We got to hold this. If we don't hold this, we could be dipping to fill the gap towards 471. And we have to bounce between those levels. We have to reclaim 480. If we don't, this is bearish. As of right now, we're looking a bit more bearish. We have not gotten the bounce yet, so it might dip a little bit more. Watch and see if we can hold 474. There's still hope for a bounce with all these puts expiring towards the end of the day. But for now, we'll see if we dip towards 474. If that fills us, we do have a gap to fill towards like 471. And we'll see if we get a bounce or not. For the Russell 2000, relatively weak here. We're looking for a move down towards like 202, all the way down to like 200. So we could be dipping to 202, and we'll see if we get some kind of rebound. For ES, we have a double top here. We need to see if we could bounce as well. We're looking for these lows to be retested at 5650. If that fails us, this is going to be this is going to be dipping to the low 5600s. So watch to see if we can hold 5650 to bounce. We're at support here, so we'll see how it does. Same thing with NQ. We got to hold 19,600. If we don't hold that, we could be dumping all the way down to like 19,500. So watch and see if we get a bounce from there. Bitcoin is kind of weak right here. We need to try to bounce near 82,500 to 83,000, that range. If we lose that support, 81,000 is the main level. I want to see us hold 82,500. Otherwise, this is looking kind of weak right now. Nvda is looking a little weak, but we haven't lost our support, so there might be a test of like that 115 area, and we have to bounce off of that. We still technically have the inverse head and shoulders. It's also technically still alive for SPY, by the way, but we have to see if we could hold 559. But anyways, for Nvidia, let's see if we could hold 115 to bounce. If we lose 115, we're bearish. So watch and see if 115 holds. We might actually test that before it tries to rebound. We'll see just to be safe. Apple's looking relatively weak this morning as well. Watch this 210 area. This is where we have big support. If we hold 210, we could bounce to 214. If we lose 210, it's going to be a bad sign, so give it some time. For Coinbase, we're stuck in the middle. I would like to see us get back above 192. We could be dipping towards 183, and we also have a gap all the way down around 181, so we could be dipping a bit before it tries to rebound. For Amazon, we're kind of weak here. We're barely at support on 191. If 190 fails us, it's going to be a bad sign. So we want to get a bounce and get back above 195. For others out there, we also happen to have Meta, which is on a bit of a downtrend. This could be dipping towards 574. We need to try to bounce off 591, get back above 591 to bounce. Otherwise, it's looking a little bit more bearish, and we could be dipping to the 570s. Microsoft is looking weak, could be dipping to 380. We have to get back above 385 for any hope for bulls. And Google needs to get back above 165. As of right now, it might be dipping closer to 162.5. Can we reclaim 165 to bounce? We'll see about that. The VIX is looking a bit more bullish, but we're going to have to see how it reacts towards 22. If we break the 22s, that's going to be a bad sign for bulls, at least for the market. So be careful. As far as Tesla goes, I do expect this to dip just a little bit. We could get very, very close to 233 to 230. But then we'll see if buyers defend and they try to get us back up, especially towards this resistance. If we don't end up holding support at 230, we could be dumping even more. So you want to be very, very careful. Anyways, that's it for my video. I thank you all so much for listening. Have a good rest of your day and peace out.